Okay, you guys, in this video, we're going to learn how to add text to our video as well as captions. So if we're in the edit tab, you just want to make sure that you've got the effects panel open over here on the top left. And if you go over here, you're going to see a bunch of different options. We've already looked at the video transitions, but we're looking for titles. Okay, so what I want to do in this example is I want to add her name to the screen. There's going to be tons of times where you're working on videos, maybe it's an interview or who knows, where you're going to want to add someone's name and possibly their position, their role at work. So they do have a lot of really cool presets, so I definitely recommend scrolling through and checking all of them out because you might really like some of these, if not all of them. And the way that you add them to your timeline is just click, drag, and throw them on. Okay, if we expand this a little bit, you'll see it kind of just looks like a video clip. And once you click on it, then you have all of your parameters up here in the inspector tab where you can change the text and the sizes and the positions and all of that stuff. So for the sake of practicing, I'm not going to use a preset, but we're just going to build a very simple lower third from scratch. So I'm going to grab this one, this basic title. Okay, let's go to the beginning here.
Still looking at Bianca. My name is Kaylin. I am...
Okay, so where she says my name is Kaylin, let's do a cut. Let's clean this up a little bit. And let's start it there, okay? So where she says my name is Kaylin, let's grab this basic text one and we'll throw this guy on and then we'll click it. And she says her name is Kaylin, so let's verify that.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba.
Okay, so we don't actually know necessarily how she spells her name, Kaylin. I'd have to refer back to my notes. I'm going to just take my best guess for now. And we need to give her a last name. Maybe we'll just make up a last name. For this example, let's just say Jones, something very standard. Okay, so sorry, Kaylin, if that's your wrong name, but we just need something to practice with.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba.
Okay, so now, first of all, we are going to have to reposition this, but something that I do with my text is I like to dissolve it in, so I don't want it to just be there. I want it to have a little bit of a fade in or a cross dissolve in. So I'm going to pull this guy out, just like we could on any other video where you can pull this little cross dissolve guy out. We'll do it on the title.
My name is Kaylin.
That way it fades on a little bit nicer, okay? Now, as far as the positioning goes, we don't want it in the center. I'd like this to be what's called a lower third, which means it's in the bottom left side of the screen, which is fairly standard. So what we'll do is, now that we've got the name there, if we jump over to this area called settings, we'll click that. Okay, then we can change the position. So let's bring it all the way over to the left. We've just grabbed this number and we're sliding with the mouse to bring that over. So something like that. And then I want to bring it down. So this guy here, let's slide it so it's all the way down like that. Okay, somewhere like that. And then it zooms in.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach.
Or it dissolves in.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba, and I am currently the emergency management.
So, and then we can do a little dissolve out as well, just so it's nice and tidy.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba, and I am currently the Emergency Management Program Manager with St. John.
Okay, so, and if we wanted to add that position that she said, we would just have to duplicate this and put another row of text down there. For the example, we're just going to go with this one thing. Now, if we wanted to change the font, okay, we go back over here to title, make sure this is clicked on, and then your font family here, just click on that, and you could scroll through and find any font you want. If this was for a business and they had a specific brand font, that's something you would want to talk to the marketing people and find out what their brand is and what font they like to use. Otherwise, you're just going to have to make your best choice stylistically, you know, what looks good to you. So let's find something that looks nice. I don't mind this one, this little thin one. This looks cool, nice and clean. So let's go with that, okay?
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba, and I am currently the Emergency Management Program.
We'll let it go a little bit longer, so I'm just going to grab the end here and drag it out just a little bit, okay? Now, that's good. So another thing I'll mention is if you wanted to add a drop shadow so that it has a little bit of black behind it so that it pops off the screen just a little bit more, they do have this drop shadow already here in your parameters. And it's already essentially enabled. You just have to move the offset because right now the black is just hidden behind the white, so you're not seeing it. But as soon as you move the offset, then you start to see it, okay? And there's blur on it, so you could choose to make the blur less so that it's more pronounced, okay? Or you could blur more, it just depends on what kind of style you like. I think I like a little bit of blur, so I'm gonna do something like that maybe. The opacity is also, that's how intense it's gonna be. So if you take the opacity all the way down, you won't see it, but maybe let's go up to 100 so it's a little bit more visible. You know what? I'm going to take the blur down. Let's see how that looks. No, I liked the blur. Let's add it back. Yeah, something like that. And then if we turn it off, you can see the difference. So it's helpful to have some drop shadow. So I like that. I'm happy with that. And I think I'll leave it just as that is. Okay, so let's watch it again.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba, and I am currently the emergency management.
Perfect. The only thing I would do at this point then is I would maybe reframe her a little bit. She looks a little too close to center. I think what I want to do is zoom her in and get her more on the third. And then that'll kind of get her off the text as well. I want to put her more on this third, and then let's bring her down a bit so there's some headroom. Something like that. And then it looks like it's a little bit more framed up. And now that I see that, actually, let's move the text over because the S is kind of on this chair here. So now I think just to tidy this up, bring the text over to the left a bit and let's go down just a smidge and maybe more to the left just to give that S a little bit of breathing room on the table there. And maybe down a bit too, maybe something like that. Okay, let's see how this looks.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba.
Ah, that reads nicer. Okay, that's good. I just didn't want the S to be lost on this black chair area. Sometimes you will see lower thirds more in this upper zone where my mouse is. I've seen, people put their thirds right in the center as well. So it's kind of a stylistic thing as well. In this case, I think this reads cleaner. Just let's use the desk as the frame, okay? And I'm happy with that. Okay, so once we're happy with our text, and I mean, you can add text wherever you need. There's going to be plenty of reasons why you're going to be adding text to your videos, but now you know how to do it. Okay, so next I want to show you guys how to add captions. Now, I believe that the captions aren't actually available for the free version. You will unfortunately need the paid studio version of DaVinci Resolve. But regardless, I want to show you where it is and how to add your captions. So if you ever do have this version, then you know what to do. Okay, so when you've highlighted your clip, go up here to where it says timeline. Okay, so click timeline and then go down to AI tools. And then over here, it's create subtitles from audio. But before I do that, this example clip, this is a long clip. This is like a whole session. So what I actually want to do is I want to make a cut because I just want to give you an example of this. I don't want it to run for the whole however long. This might have been 10 or 20 minutes. I just want to give you an example on this smaller chunk, okay? So let's highlight this little chunk, go timeline, AI tools, create subtitles from audio. Okay, now this will all be just fine. I'm going to leave it as auto. It knows it's English. Default settings are going to be just fine in this case. We'll hit create. It'll run and it'll give us our subtitles. And let's see. Good. So now that the captions are there.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba.
So what we're going to do is, it's not going to be perfect. So you do a lot of times have to edit this stuff. So what you do is we're going to highlight it. So I'm just going to click and drag and I'm going to get all of these highlighted. And also just note that it did put the captions on its own specific area of the timeline here on its own track. So we can disable them whenever we need to by clicking here. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna highlight them and then we go over here to the inspector tab, okay? and we can see each line that she's saying. And we need to fix stuff up. So this is how they spelled Kaylin. So now we don't know if my Kaylin was correct or if their Kaylin was correct, but regardless, they should be the same. So for sake of argument, let's change theirs and let's add the E. So it looks like ours, okay? Nope, let's not do that. So for sake of argument, let's edit their Kaylin and make it look like ours. So Kaylen, and that's how you're going to edit that. And then Steinbeck, it should be Steinbach. So let's add an A and maybe an H. Okay. And then you would just have to go through and make sure everything is correct. So that might take a little bit of work, but do go through these because it's not always 100%. Now, once you've done that and you're happy with the grammar and the spelling, maybe there's things like punctuation you wanted to fix up, all that stuff, then you can go over here to track. Okay, let's actually just make sure it's all highlighted again. Then go over here to track. And now we get to actually design this a little bit better. So we could change our font if we want. The other thing too is I don't like where it's positioned, so I would like it to go down a little bit. So hold on a sec. What we want to do is go to this Y one up here, and let's just move this down a bit. Maybe something like that, so it's not right in the middle of our shot. And if we wanted to add a drop shadow like we learned before with our text, same thing, we could click this guy here and add a little drop shadow. You do have to move that offset so it appears. So something like that maybe, and then the blur either down or add blur. So maybe something like that will work fine for us. It just pops a little more when you have a little bit of a drop shadow. Okay, and then yeah, if you wanted to change your font, it's just up here. So then you could go through and change your font. I'm actually fine with the way it was for now. It's a fairly standard caption font, so I'm okay with that for now. And that's it, essentially. So now we've got our lower third. You know, looking at it now, obviously the lower third is getting blocked by the captions, so we may need to go make another decision on where we're going to put that. Maybe to fix that, let's go higher. You know, this is going to dictate how this lower third is going to look as well. So I guess we're fighting with this, aren't we? Maybe something like that. We may need a backdrop. We may actually be forced into choosing something that's got a little bit of a background to it so that it pops, because once it's positioned up here, it kind of gets hidden, and this table is yeah, you know, I think it needs, now that I'm looking at it, some sort of box like that, okay? So we could actually go back and pick something nice, sample. You know, something like this we could put her position in. Here, let's go with that, just so it's simple, okay? So I'm going to click on this. I'm actually just going to copy her name here, so I don't have to type it out again. I'm going to copy, go Control-C, copy that. I'm going to drag this guy in over here, and I'm going to delete this one. Let's put this into position. Maybe let's pull it out a little bit. And then let's go paste her name back in over here. Control-V. There, okay. Now we can move this up a little bit. So we'll go to settings. Let's move it up in position. Something like that. Then it's not getting cut off from our captions, okay? So now let's play it and take a look.
My name is Kaylin. I am from Steinbach, Manitoba, and I am currently the Emergency Management Program Manager with St. John Ambulance.
Okay, and when it says ambulance, I'm just going to cut it off there. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to pull out this little guy as so it has a little fade off to clean it up.
Manager with St. John Ambulance.
Perfect. And that's it. So we've added our title. We did have to fight with it a little bit once we added the captions, but that's fine. You know, you're going to have to deal with that stuff. And we added our captions, and we're all set. Okay, so I hope that was helpful.